So last time we had a good look at basically we just started with the project resource management. As we've seen, there are 6 process group: plan resource management, estimate activity resources, acquire resources, develop team, and then we need to understand manage team and control resources. Okay, so we're going to see these 2 process group under knowledge area called project resource management. Now, as per the typical management, fundamentals, we have resources as a man and as in human, material as in raw material, and machines as an whatever machine we use to develop our project to achieve our unique reasons, right? So, these things are considered as a resource here, right? And we had a look at small video last time where we have understood basically how this overall uh, resource management works for a given project as a generic way. Now we today will have a look at how we can apply these resource management tools and techniques within our MS project actual project plan, right? So we do have a kind of hands-on workshop or understanding of how we could basically have resources attached to a given Microsoft project plan, right? So let's start basically. Let's revise manage team. So how do we manage team? Here, the team management is basically trying to make sure our team is enabled enough for any challenges mm, in terms of projects, in terms of new learnings, in terms of any additional CRs we get along the way of the project progresses or along the way of project evolves step by step. As we all know, there are a few elements which might have been unknown whenever we start our project. In managed team, what we're trying to do, we are trying to fill all such gaps as and when we progress. So there's a bit stress on training or skill upliftment here. So we are trying to basically make sure whatever team resources we have, as in with us as a project manager, we keep them, upbringing, we keep them basically training even within the group with the help of a trainer, like external trainer, or with the help of a kind of train the trainer approach also. Okay, so let's revise this thing. The inputs to manage team process group in resource management knowledge area is resource management plan. The project documents are issue log, lessons learned register, project team assignments, and team charter. So here we are looking for whatever issues we have faced in our last sprint or last retrospective meeting. We'll basically align them or add to our issue log. Lessons learned register, we are actually posting, we have invented anything new for our organizations to follow, or basically any other team members which have an invented way to get this project done effectively, efficiently, we might adopt those as well. The project team assignment, in terms of we keep analyzing what all assignment we have associated with the resources, what type of resources are doing which type of assignments, and so on and so forth. So here we are constantly keeping an open eye on any skill gaps. In the skill gap, we're trying to understand, do we need any special, lift, any special support to these resources, specifically human resources, to make sure they will accomplish the task at hand. And that's how we normally keep our, uh, training, we keep our skill upliftment type of thought process up and running. Then we have team charter. So in team charter, we have a list of team member where all the team members, their previous experiences, their skills, and their hierarchy within the organization is mentioned. So we might basically allow somebody to lead a particular list of tasks for some time, and then we might basically think of uplifting him by rewards and recognition as well. And that's how we normally use team charter effectively to encourage the team member who are performing well. We try to encourage the team member who are also not performing well in terms of they should run at their optimum efficiency. And then we normally keep a keen eye on work performance report, the efficiency of the resources, the normally line of code or function point, they are being developing, they are being creating, they are being maintaining as per their number of hours or number of days type of work efficiency balances. And then we do have team performance assessment. Okay, the two different, uh, point 3 and point 4 are given here just to stress out how important is the performance and how important the assessments as well. These assessments do create some sort of a artifact. Let me tell you about these artifacts. These artifacts, like, Ravindra was working at 180 lines of 180 lines of code per day previously, but now he is working at 178 lines of code on an average. And this way, I might sit with Ravindra and discuss with him, "Ki, hey Ravindra, what's the problem? Any problem on personal level? How we can, basically bring up to you any health challenges or something like that." So we do actually have a work performance report as well as work performance assessments carefully monitored to understand if we are lagging on any resource particular efficiencies. And that's how they mention these 2 points separately, just to stress on the efficiency as of the project execution is at the utmost priority here. Then we are looking for enterprise environmental factor, any challenges which are basically exerted on your organizations as an obstacle or a support to the project. We take it positively. We try to suppress any challenges in terms of as an obstacles to the project, but we do encourage any efficiency which we can leverage from enterprise environmental factor as well. And then of course we have organizational process assets to help us out to execute this project more and more effectively by various templates, by various SMEs and COE supports. Let's try to understand the tools and technique here. Within tools and techniques, as a project manager, we need to understand how the team work cohesively, how the team work in a unification for a single cause of completing the project objectively. Now there are certain personal traits are mentioned here, and I personally believe these are one of the most um, greatest possible alignments for a given project execution. The traits which a project manager should have or must have are conflict management. And as we all know, right, this is our first position as a leader. So as a leader, we should possess the skill set like conflict management, remove any and all conflict which arises between the resources. And believe me, whenever you are working with human resources, there are always ego clash. I'm better than him or her, and those kind of challenges. So we need to resolve such conflicts then and there so that they won't get escalated for damaging any of the efficiencies. Then we have decision making, specifically alternative analysis. Should we choose this path, that path? And we need to check it out objectively in terms of what is important for the long-term project goal, what will be the less damaging scenario here, and so on and so forth. So there are a good number of decision making, support you can get from the COEs and SMEs as well. And we might leverage that thing to make sure our project won't get damaged any further or won't get, bogged down by any such obstacles. Emotional intelligence. Now, this type of skill have gained a lot of tractions recently. What is emotional intelligence? Not to get fooled by many resources who try to pull you down emotionally. And they do it by various means, like they try to be over friendly with you, they try to be over pessimistic with you, they try to be more of kind of devil's advocate and so on and so forth. So as a leader, as a project manager, I need to understand or I need to possess a quality called emotional intelligence and try to find out such challenges. Try to find out the resources who keep crying throughout his life. And believe me, there are resources who are kind of pessimistic in their nature, or their nature is pessimistic in other way. So we need to understand, or we need to tell them, "Ki, hey, resource, could you please dial it down? I know there are challenges. I know there are difficulties in our life, but we need to solve them and not, keep repeating them or keep, bringing them in the forefront, left and right, in front of everybody." It is, and we are not telling to ignore anything. We are telling to basically dial it down in the sense We are telling them not to bring it every time we discuss. And that's the kind of emotional intelligence these guys are looking for. Again, influencing their inner circle, like the complete team, influencing the organizational people like PMOs, auditors of the world, and influencing even the stakeholder, which is a kind of the peripheral influencer of your actual line of control. And here, this how we basically understand, or we basically make sure our project get executed right on track with the optimum efficiency we could achieve for executing that project. Then again, leadership as an umbrella activity here. We need to lead the project team for successful result, for successful completion. And this is kind of one of the most crucial activity we do as a project manager. The leadership gets built within you. You get trained on leadership on job every time. And every time there are the set of challenges are new. So we keep learning one step ahead of others, and so on and so forth. Again, how to manage PMIs, how to make the PMIs more representative of your positive outcome is one of the most crucial factor here, because PMIS, Project Management Information System, is seen by the top management as a representative or a report of your project execution. For that matter, whatever goes in PMIS, I need to really keep a close eye on that, so that in case of such uh, different picture being painted by PMIs, I need to make sure I'll tweak the numbers. I'll basically try to understand how can I present the correct picture of my project one way or the other. So that's why it's really important tools and technique. Even some sort of a trouble, even some sort of a problem, my project is going into yellow, the PMI should reflect so correctly, so that even the top management of the world is ready to help me out in my next step. And that's why PMIs plays a really important part here. Okay, let's try to understand the output. Of course, as we discussed, change request is a kind of challenging additions. They come in our way within every sprint, within every Scrum discussion or priority realigning. That's why we need to make sure how to manage change request effectively as a leader, as a decision-making process. This is really crucial for every leader to understand how to manage these change requests within their priority as shared by the client most of the time. Clients want everything yesterday, but yeah, in the realistic world, we can't have such scenario left and right. Like you ask and it's ready, right? For everything, for every scenario, there's a time, right? And there is a need, and there are priorities as well. So for that, we need to align their thought process in such a way that we won't disturb our overall effort consumption or efficiency, just because we need to accept a couple of change requests left and right. So as a project manager, we need to control the expectation. We need to influence their decision. Like, let's wait for a couple of days so that we can accept this new CR in our next sprint and get it addressed right away. The project management plans that will get updated are resource management plan, schedule baseline, and a cost baseline. A resource management plan is basically we are managing the team. That's why resource management plan. Schedule baseline for any change request, any such schedule changes in terms of any task getting delayed because of any resources efficiencies challenge or something like that, and cost baseline, all the other reflections of any schedule baseline change or additional CRs or the resource management plan is normally get reflected directly on the cost baseline. So how do you generate cost? Just to rephrase it again, we have a scope, we have a schedule, and we add a resource to that, and then we'll get a cost. And that's how the cost baseline affected by scope, schedule, or resource one way or the other. The project documents get updated are issue logs, approved change requests, whatever you have, the lessons learned register. In case you are doing anything much better than the others, we'll add those things to our knowledge base. Then we have a project team assignment here. If you change anything as per the hierarchy, as per the overall team charter, that might get reflected in our project team assignment, and of course, enterprise environmental factor, because if anything which we need to initiate in terms of something like remote working, right? These factors are not in my control as a project manager, or even not in my control as a uh, organization, but these are driven as an external to the organizations. That's why they are mentioned here. Okay, I'll not play the video resource management again. Do you think I should play that video? We have seen it last time. A project resource management. It's a kind of overall review of a project, resource management process to again. Do you think you have to have a look at it again, Vandana ma'am, or Babuji, anybody?
No, no, sir.
We have,
We are good.
So the one that you played last time?
yeah, we have played this project research. Okay,
Yeah,
it's a
I
small.
should do.
You're good, right? Or should I play?
I
Please
am
guide.
okay. So it's
Yeah,
same video you're saying, right?
come again, ma'am.
No, the same video?
Yes, ma'am. Same video. The
Yeah,
last time.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Okay. So let's move to our last knowledge area. Last process group. Pardon me for that. Inner resource management knowledge area. Here we are trying to understand how to control resources, and control resources is activity in monitor and control process group, right? We are controlling resources. We are trying to execute the utmost caution to have these resources controlled throughout our project, throughout our execution of these, unique result for a given project execution, project objective. Let's try to understand the inputs. The project management plan, specifically resource management plan. The project documents are issue logs, lessons learned register, physical resource assignment, project schedule, resource breakdown structure, resource requirement, and risk register. Let's try to understand one by one. Okay, so issue logs, as we see, any change request came our way, or any issue you have identified can be mentioned as a risk, or can be addressed then and there in terms of how can we mitigate the issue, how can we get maybe this issue resolved on a priority, and those scenarios. And these inputs are considered as a detrimental effect to our resource executions, resource efficiencies. The lessons learned register, I might refer to the organizational knowledge base to understand how the other projects are dealing with such issues, because these issues can be faced by all the others as well, right? So for that scenario, I might take some good hints how to, control or resolve these issues on priority, or how others are done. So that's why I can refer to the lessons learned register here. Now, physical resource assignment are basically, we keep revalidating, we keep understanding the efficiency versus the actual skill which we have and actual skills required. These type of assessments are done by project manager almost frequently. And these are kind of internal assessment to understand how resources are doing in a real world, in a practical approaches for a given solution, problem, work they are executing on a day-by-day basis. Then project schedule. So project schedule gives us a clear idea. Are we going good? Are we going, are there some challenges we need to resolve or something like that? Or is my efficiency okay? Is it up to the organizational standard? Basically, I should do a bit better than that, but still, that a bit better is a kind of very vague word. So even if you are doing okay in terms of organizational resource efficiency baseline, that's more than fine in terms of project schedule. Nobody will bother you. But still, that's the kind of intention we have, and that's why we take it as an input. Resource breakdown structure, to make sure we have a correct hierarchy applied for the resources in terms of so much Java works, so many Java resources, so much .NET works, so many .NET resources, so many leads, so many reviewers, so many auditors, and so on and so forth. The auditors are kind of external factor to your projects, but still these auditors give you a clear and crisp view in terms of how your project efficiencies are being monitored. And then we have a resource requirement. What all resource requirement I have already processed with resource manager, and he's going to give me the resources. So we need to plan these things proactively. That's why they have mentioned it as an input. Whatever resource requirement we already process, we need to keep a keen eye on them. We need to make sure if any resources we are getting today, how to manage them, how to basically induce in your team, and so on and so forth. So there are various processes attached with the new resource induction, like project familiarization, like give them some thought process of what we are doing actually in terms of the actual objective, and so on and so forth. So we can basically give these things to these resources, and they can proactively start working on understanding the project environment, objectives, and goals. Then we have risk register. Any new issue normally get induced in the risk register left and right to make sure how to mitigate that risk. Issue like, okay, there is a challenging weather ahead, or we are stepping into the summer, so there can be chances of tornadoes. And like these, so I can mention this as a risk. There can be a tornado warning, and we might get a couple of days ahead. So we have to plan these tornadoes, risk assessment or risk mitigation in such a way that every resources can be moved to the tornado shelter within a couple of minutes. And we do that drill and all those things for such scenario. Okay. So all these issues are normally reflected in a risk, and this risk register normally gets updated whenever we have risk reviews. The work performance data give you a clear idea how these resources are performing on actual level. Are they in leveling with the organization in terms of resource output? Then we are good, no challenges there. Any and all additional agreements if we as a technology partner sign with our client amidst of these change requests, amidst of all these additions we have done to the project because of the agile way. If we are doing okay in terms of consumer satisfactions, or are we at a challenging level of trying to uh, do project expedition or crashing and those kind of scenario, to make sure these agreements are well protected or well advised in terms of any penalty clause or any such damaging project profitability challenges hidden in the agreement. And we do get supported by the organizational process assets to make sure we do execute our project in a maximum efficiency pattern, or at least evolving step by step way in case the project is new to the organization. The tools and techniques are data analysis. Of course, I already, as we seen, we do keep checking on the alternative analysis here to make sure, do I have any better alternative? If not, then let's go ahead with that. And we do create some artifact in case some reviewer, some auditor asks us why you have chosen or why you have decided in this way. So I might have this artifact shared with him or her, so that he or she can clearly understand how the decision analysis process is working within your project execution. Then there are cost benefits analysis also, because this is quite economical. That's why we have chosen this, or because this is effectively reducing our cost of the project. That's why we have chosen this. And these kind of scenarios are quite common on every decisions we took as a project manager, as a leader. Then we do performance review. These performance review are normally done by the HR or the resource management team. So we normally just a kind of facilitator for such performance reviews. But yes, we keep a keen eye on work performance data as well as physical resource assignment to make sure the efficiency are being targeted at optimum level. And then we have a trend analysis. These type of trend analysis help us to understand if you are doing okay, is the project in green, yellow, red. If the project is going into the yellow, then even I might require help from the senior management in terms of either uh, you know uh, or releasing some cost from the management buffer, or an extra resources just to make sure, because there are these additional change requests or challenges came in our way, we might require some extra resources, and we might be basically discuss this with client as well. So this trend analysis give you a good what you can say instrument to discuss all such challenges with the client in terms of extra work to be done within the project because of the change request or any additional work come in your way as an project additional enhancement request. Then we have problem solving as one of the most important crucial skill for everybody within the team to solve the problem than generate problems. So this problem solving typically also helps you as a project manager, as a leader, to make sure the project get executed efficiently um, within due course of time. The interpersonal team skills are negotiation and infusing. You have to negotiate with team members quite a few times, making sure he or she won't go on leave involuntarily. Even if he's not well, he or she should message you either early morning so that you can address if it's a critical task, any resources to be shuffled around and so on and so forth. That's where negotiation and infusing helps you out to keep the resources on toes or keep the resources working at optimum efficiency levels. And again, as we discussed in the last, similarly, PMIs reflects your project status to the top management. That's why I need to keep a keen eye on this PMIs, project management information system, to make sure there's no wrong report going to the top management. So I need to keep a keen eye on this PMI system. The outputs in control resources process loop in the project resource management knowledge area are work performance information. This gives you a clear idea of how each and every resources is working, each and resources adding it to the project progress steadily, slowly with the optimum efficiency. Again, the change requests which are approved by the change request board and client, to make sure we need to accept this work or we have already accepted this work as change request board can do it for us. So these are all kind of inclusion to your task list. Only as a project manager, I can decide if I want to park this change request for the next sprint or not. Again, it depends on length and breadth of this change request also. If it's really small, I might get it done anyway within 5-10 minutes. If it's really big, then I need to consider if my schedule can absorb such change requests within my current project plan. The project plan updates are resource management plan, schedule baseline, and the cost baseline. We already discussed all these three as similarly in managed resources. Resource management plan, normal, if you change anything within your project resource management, you might get reflected as an output. The schedule baseline, for any and all changes you might induce due to change request, due to any resources being not well or something, or any efficiency challenges, we normally mention these things clearly in a cost baseline, and that same will get reflected in a cost baseline. The project documents updates are assumption logs, where if you assume anything, that's also kind of being reflected as a risk. If there are any issues added to your issue log, that should get reflected in your issue log as an additions to the challenge and everything. Then physical resource assignment, any changes in alignment of the current resource scenario, we might have to update this physical resource assignment as well. And the resource breakdown structure, in case if we are moving any resources from one department to another, to make sure the efficiencies are matched at the optimum level, and those scenarios get reflected in this project document updates, including the risk register. Any new assumptions normally get directly reflected to your risk register. Similarly, any new challenges, you might have to build the mitigation strategy within your risk register. Anybody have any questions on control resources? Anything which I missed to mention or missed to basically share the details with you?
No, sir.
We are good, right?
Mhm.
No. Let me take you to your next. Okay. Now here we will try to come on. Here we are trying to understand how do we basically manage this resource within the Microsoft project. Okay. So let me try to show you a video and we'll keep discussing on this thing in depth. Okay. So let me pause my recording. So this way, you can do these, workshop where you might add these resources, assign cost, and try to address if there are any challenging levels. And this way you get an idea how we could do it on a practical level. And that will give you a clear, understanding how my sub project reacts to your plan. Okay. So let me take a step further. Okay. Let's take a good review of project communication management. Communication management is also one of the crucial as far as the PMI, PMP goes. Here, we are trying to understand how do we plan your communication, how do you manage your communication, and how do you monitor your continuous communication throughout the project life cycle. Okay, so there are only 3 process groups here. Plan, again in planning, we do initial planning in terms of input, output, and process groups. Let me share with you. Here we normally take all those charters and the management plans, requirement documents, stakeholder register as an input to communication management planning. Videos, SME, COEs, experts. Then we do a kind of communication requirement analysis. We'll see in our next session. Basically, I'm just giving you a walkthrough. We also will understand what is the noise, how we can reduce the noise from the communication, and then how to manage the communication and monitor communication. Okay, and this will do in our next session. Anybody have any questions as of for me as of now? Okay, let me do one thing. Let me share you this link of a project planning video. Please have a look at it and try to update your project plan which you have created. It can be in Excel or it can be in MPP, and try to balance these resources, and you might showcase those things in our next session so that we'll understand in depth how you can manage these resources on a given project. Okay, our next session will be on 23rd, 9 p.m. Thursday. Okay, anybody have any question for me as of now? Or can I close it a bit earlier so that you can have a look at that link as well? Let me share that link within a couple of minutes on our WhatsApp. Okay, does anybody have any question for me?
No, sir.
No problem. So, let me close the session today. Have a good night, and let's meet on day after tomorrow to understand the project management in depth again. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.